Hi guys, how you doing? It's Will here, back for another fight card. Been a few weeks since UFC 170 from Las Vegas, where Ronda Rousey defended her title once again. Really enjoyed the card. With all the changes they had to the card, late changes, I went 10-1 on the card, which was good for a change. But we're here for UFC 171, where Johnny Hendricks is facing Robbie Lawler to determine the new UFC welterweight champion after George St. Pierre vacated the belt. A very good card from Dallas. Every time they go to Texas, they have a great card. They were there for UFC 166 in Houston. Back in Dallas and Texas again for another big card. Some great fights. There's been some injuries as in the last few hours here with some people coming in. So I'm going to put out my predictions for this here. So we're going to start all the way down in the featherweight division. A match I'm very interested in watching this. It's got one of my countrymen in it who I'm hoping will pick up his first UFC win in a very tough fight, as we have Daniel Pineda against Robert Whiteford. Robert Whiteford I've been following for years. I've spoke to him personally a few times. A really nice guy, a very hard worker. Stays about half an hour away from where I stay. Got a short call notice to come into the UFC in Manchester in October last year to face Jimy Hettes. And from I knew when this fight was announced that Jimy Hettes was going to get back on the win trail and get him down to the ground. If anywhere, Rob Whiteford is a wee bit lacking in the ground department, and Jimy Hettes took notice of that and managed to submit Robert Whiteford, who kind of gassed a little bit, which was expected considering it was a short fight. He got the call for the fight very short notice. Daniel Pineda's also coming off a loss. I think he's won a few and lost a few. I think he's 2-2 in the UFC. He lost last time out to Diego Brandao. I'm trying not to kind of let my patriotic side kind of come out here, and I really am hoping that Robert Whiteford can pick up the win here. He's been training in Florida, American Top Team. From what I'm hearing, he's been doing great guns out there. I think I'm just going to go Daniel Pineda by unanimous decision, but I really am rooting for Robert Whiteford. We've got Robert Bubba McDaniel against a very late replacement, literally in the last hour or so, Sean Strickland. Bubba McDaniel, he was on Tough a few years back. He fights out with the Greg Jackson gym in Albuquerque, New Mexico. A training partner, John Bones Jones. He was a bit of a... He wasn't one of the favourites on the Ultimate Fighter season where John Jones was a coach. Was a bit of a pussy. Scared of Uriah Hall, and he kind of already lost the fight before he even getting there. He's against Sean Strickland here, who's coming in for torturing, who's injured himself. Strickland, all I know is that he's 13-0. I've watched one of his fights back in Legacy FC. He's 7 knockouts, 3 submission wins and 3 decision wins. He fights out of California. I'm going to pick Sean Strickland here. I think it's a very tough fight for him on short notice. McDaniel's a very experienced campaigner, but I'm not the biggest Bubba McDaniel fan, so I'm going to go Sean Strickland by unanimous decision. In the flyweight division, we've got Will Campuzano against Justin Scoggins. Justin Scoggins is a guy that I've been watching for the last 6, 7, 8, 9 months. Before I seen a couple of fights before he went to the UFC. He's 8-0, and this guy's got knockout power, and for the flyweight division, that's huge to have something like that. Fought last time out, and looked very impressive. His kicks are very flashy as well. They kind of come out of nowhere. He's a very good striker. He throws that quick, and his feet are that quick that you don't even see the shots coming. He's got a few wins by head kick knockout. Last time he fought Richie Vasulik in Australia, and he won by TKO in the first round. Looked very impressive. Been kind of watching more of his old fights, and the guy is really dangerous. Will Campuzano, last night he's back in the UFC for a second stint. Fought Sergio Pettis, very good all-round fighter. Good in the ground. He can be quite tricky on his feet at times. Justin Scoggins is just going to be too fast for this kid, and I think Justin Scoggins is going to knock out Will Campuzano here. a lot of people were saying that he maybe should have got the decision against Sergio Pettis. I'm not one of those people, but I'm going to go Justin Scoggins by knockout in the first round. Next up, we've got Henry Forte versus Francisco Trevino. Trevino, I think, is 13-0. Rennie Forte has been up and down the UFC, had a great win over Terry Etim over here in Britain. Trevino, so I don't know much about him. I'm going to go Henry Forte. I think he's going to be a little bit too well-rounded for Trevino, and I think he'll take the unanimous decision victory. Next up on the preliminary card, we've got Sean Spence against Alex Garcia. A very, very good fight here. Alex Garcia is 11-1 in the UFC. He fights out the TriStar gym in Canada. Great wrestler, very, very dynamic striker. Beat Ben Wall last time in Australia. Great that he's back in here quick again against Sean Spencer, who's also a very, very dangerous guy himself. He's coming off a couple of, I think he's coming off a win over. He's coming off a couple of wins over Yuri Villafort and Drew Dober. Alex Garcia, I think he's going to run through Sean Spencer here. I thought this was going to be a good fight originally. Watched some more of Alex Garcia's fights, and the guy is nasty. So I'm going to go Alex Garcia by second round knockout. Next up, a very, very good fight in the featherweight division. We've got Dennis Bermudez against Jimy Hettes. Met Jimy Hettes in Manchester. Such a nice guy. I met some of his family as well. Great, great people. Always sat and spoke to you and give you a little bit of time, which was always nice. The guy is a very, very talented fighter. When it goes to the ground, he's extremely, extremely dangerous. He's very, very well versed on the ground. Dennis Bermudez, though, is a very, very tough, gritty wrestler, and I think he's got enough to kind of stifle Jimy Hettes, get him to the ground and stop Hettes throwing up the submissions and going for it. This is a coin toss for me. I think it'll go to decision. I think Dennis Bermudez will get the decision on a split. Next up, we've got Raquel Pennington against Jessica Andrade. Raquel Pennington, I think she's 4-3. She's only had the one UFC fight against Roxanne Modafferi, where she won that. She's fought a couple of really, really tough fighters in Leslie Smith and Kat Zingano. Jessica Andrade, I've seen her live in Manchester, and she was very, very impressive down there against Rosie Sexton. Threw some big shots, hurt Rosie Sexton. She should have probably finished Rosie Sexton, to be fair. I think this is going to be a great fight. It won't go to the ground as much. I think this is going to be a stand-up fight. They both like to throw leather. Pennington's very, very heavily based in their striking, and it's very, very good. And Andrade, I think she's probably the better person on the ground, but she likes to stand and bang as well. So I'm going to go Jessica Andrade by split decision. And the top fight on the preliminary card for Fox Sports 1 is former tough winner Kelvin Gastelum against Rick Story. A great fight here. This is only his second fight in the UFC for Kelvin Gastelum, and he's got a big opponent here in Rick Story, who's won a lot of fights, and he's beaten big opponents in the past as well. Gastelum comes out, and he was on the show. I really liked watching him. I never ever thought in a million years he would go on and win the show. He came out the show and he faced Brian Melanson last time out and submitted him after he knocked him down with a huge right hook. Rick Story is I like watching Rick Story fights. He comes out, he's a very tough wrestler. He throws heavy leather. He's just a really, really good fighter to watch, and I'm looking forward to seeing this fight, toss-up fight again. Kelvin Gastelum, I think he's very, very dangerous with submissions, as we've seen last time out. Rick Story, once he gets you to the ground, he's a very tough guy to kind of get off you. Last time against Brian Ebersole, he hurt him quite a lot on the ground. Coin toss. I'm actually going to go Rick Story. Unanimous decision, I think. On to the main card, we've got Ovince and Preaux against Nikita Krylov. This was looking to be a good fight. It had Thiago Silva before he went and did some stupid shit and got himself kicked out of the UFC. And Nikita Krylov stepped in here after his big win in January in Chicago against Walt Harris with the kind of head kick KO, and then he followed up with the punches to knock out Walt Harris. Ovince and Preaux, a fighter that came from Strikeforce. He's won a few fights in the UFC. Looks particularly dangerous on his feet, very heavy, but once he gets to the ground, he's a very, very good grappler as well. Wins over Gian Vellante and Cody Donovan via KO last time out in August. I'm going to go Ovince and Preaux. I think he'll knock out Nikita Krylov, who's making his second fight at UFC in the 205-pound UFC light heavyweight division. So I'm going to go Ovince and Preaux by second round TKO. Next up, we've got Jake Shields against Hector Lombard in a kind of welterweight heavy card, to be honest with you. Jake Shields, one of the best on the ground. He's very, very good with his American Jiu-Jitsu, as he calls it. Beat Damian Maia last time out. He's always going to be around about the top 10 in the division, because he's not great on his feet. He's shown improvements over the last few years, not major improvements, but improvements nonetheless. But he is a very, very tough fighter to take on. Both fighters outside of the UFC. Jake Shields was in Strikeforce. Hector Lombard was Bellator. Hector Lombard's come in, he's been up and down. 2 wins, 2 losses. Last time out against Nate Marquardt, he absolutely fucking starched Nate Marquardt in the first round, just knocked him clean out. That was the end of that. I think this fight's going to be a lot like Jake Shields versus Jake Ellenberger from a couple of years back. I think Lombard's just going to be too fast, and he's going to catch Jake Shields and knock him out. So I'm going to go Hector Lombard by first round knockout. Big fight in the lightweight division for me. My favourite fighter is facing off here back in Texas. It's Diego Sanchez against I was very unexpected when I heard this fight. When it was made, I was I was interested, and I thought it's a bit of a weird matchup. But Myles Jury, who is 13-0, wins over Michael Johnson. I think Mike Reach is one of them, and who else is that? Ramsey Najem as well. In the UFC, he was on Tough a couple of years back. A very, very good fighter, but still a weird matchup for me. This Diego Sanchez, I think he can be a force at 155, the 155-pound division. I know I'm a big fan of his. I hope I'm not kind of saying that just because I am a fan of his. I think he does have a good chance of making his way up the rankings and hopefully challenging for a shot in the future, but who knows. He's coming off that epic fight with Gilbert Melendez at UFC 166, which was, to be honest with you, he lost the first 2 rounds, and then the old kind of Diego come out, and I think he could have won that fight when he knocked down Melendez. I think he should have pounded on him instead of going for the submission. If he did that, he might have won the fight. I just don't see where Myles Jury is really going to hurt Diego Sanchez here. Diego Sanchez is very, very good at not getting taken down. He has got good takedown defense. Throws wild shots, which will hurt, I think, Myles Jury if he catches him. I just don't see where he can hurt Diego Sanchez in this fight. But Diego Sanchez, let's be honest, apart from the fight that he had with Gilbert Melendez, that 1 round, he hasn't been the Sanchez of the past. He kind of got given a win against Takanori Gomi. But I like him in this fight. I think he'll get a decision victory. So I'm going to go Diego Sanchez by unanimous decision. Co-main event of the night, a very, very good matchup. Carlos the Natural Born Killer Condit against Tyron and T. Woodley. I think Carlos Condit's number 2 in the division in the rankings, and Woodley's like number 10. Tyron Woodley blasted Josh Koscheck out last time they fought, and it was actually a very good fight. It was a very fun fight because Josh Koscheck was thrown as well, but Tyron Woodley is striking starting to come out now, and he looks very dangerous. He's a wrestler based fighter who has got great wrestling. He can take you down, but now that he's thrown heavy leather where he's hurting people, he's going to be a very, very interesting fighter to have in the UFC welterweight division. Carlos Condit, a former UFC champion, he's fought the best in the division, he's beat some of the best in the division, he's lost to some of the best in the divisions, he's lost to GSP, Johnny Hendricks, he's beat great fighters like Nick Diaz, and he beat Dong Young Kim, who at the weekend was phenomenal with his knockout of John Hathaway. He's a very, very he's a very dangerous fighter, is Carlos Condit, everywhere. He goes for things, he throws some weird stuff, but he's very, very exciting to watch. But his one downfall is that it's against wrestlers. He seems to get taken down a lot and not losing fights, a la George St. Pierre and Johnny Hendricks. I want to see Carlos Condit in this one. Yeah, okay, I'm going to go for Carlos Condit by unanimous decision. And the main event of the night is, as I said at the start of the video, the fight for the UFC, the vacant UFC welterweight championship between Johnny Hendricks and a very, very unexpected opponent. I think a lot of people will agree with me with that, and Robbie Lawler. Ever since Robbie Lawler has come back into the UFC, he has looked absolutely phenomenal. This is his weight division, is the 170 pound weight division. He should have always been here. He should have never left the division. Coming in, he's knocked out some fighters and he's beat some top guys. Josh Koscheck, he came back into the UFC, knocked him out. Bobby Volka, head kick knockout back in Seattle last year. And at UFC 167, he got the huge decision victory over Rory McDonald, who is one of the top guys in the divisions, no doubt about it. He hurt Rory McDonald. His takedown defense was incredible. He's got some heavy shots. He plants his feet and he throws hooks. He's got a great jab. He's starting to throw kicks now, and he looks very, very dangerous. The one thing that I do think isn't great for him, I don't know whether his cardio is going to be great. I think he will get taken down in this fight. Hendricks is too skilled a fighter on the feet to not get him down. Johnny Hendricks is he's got a huge left hand. Once he throws it, you're out. John Fitch, Martin Kampman, they will tell you this, that once that hits you, you're out. And he has got some crazy power along with some great wrestling. But if you just watch his footwork with Johnny Hendricks, he makes space so easily. He gets his punches off so quickly with the amount of distance that he covers on how quick his feet is. A lot of people are saying this is going to be an easy fight for Johnny Hendricks. I initially thought that. The more I've watched the Robbie Lawler in his past few fights, I don't think it's going to be like that. I don't think he will knock out Robbie Lawler, but I think he will beat Robbie Lawler for probably 49-46 scorecard for unanimous decision. So that's my picks. I'm going to go Johnny Hendricks to be the new UFC welterweight champion. So that's my picks, people. If you could like and share this video, it would be very much appreciated. Come follow me on Twitter at BigBuilder7MMA. Always like to speak to you guys on there. It's also UFC London this weekend. I'm really looking forward to heading down the road to that. Alexander Gustafsson against Jimy Manoa. I'll be back a few weeks for UFC on Fox card, followed by UFC 172 with the return of the one and only John Bones Jones, and a fight between Max Holloway and Andre Fili, which I think could have fight of the night written all over it. So that's when I should be back with another video. Help me out with this video and pass it on to some friends, and come follow me on Twitter at BigBuilder7MMA. Enjoy the show next week from Dallas, and take care.